everybody! Today we're going to be looking at 10 French-speaking movies that have either won an Oscar or almost won an Oscar. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at what these films are about, and most importantly, what kind of vocabulary can you learn from each of these movies. Watching movies can be one of the best ways to pick up new French words, new vocabulary, so let's get started. The first movie is called Close. It's a very recent movie. It's just come out at the end of 2022. It's a Belgian movie. It's kind of like a coming of age movie about two boys who have a very close friendship. They love to sleep over at each other's houses. They get on with each other's families. And then one day they go to school and one of their friends asks them, "Are you in a couple?" And one of the boys becomes really bothered by this and he begins to distance himself from the other boy. And the other boy becomes really depressed by this and he ends up committing suicide. So the movie becomes a movie of healing and heartbreak. The kind of vocabulary you'll pick up from this film is about friendship, growing up, pain, death and loss. Movie number 2 is called Les Misérables. Note, this is not based upon the classic Victor Hugo novel. This is actually a modern movie. It came out in 2019 and it almost won an Oscar. It's an urban drama focusing around 3 cops who have to work in a sort of poor estate near Paris. It explores issues like class struggles, ethnic tensions, racism amongst the police, violence, just basically portraying a really broken system. The kind of vocab you'll learn from this movie can be a lot of slang, curse words, words around violence, police life, struggles, problems, poverty. Movie number 3 is called A Prophet, Un Prophète. It's about a young Muslim man who has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. He's having a really hard time in there, and eventually he comes under the wing of a Corsican mob who sort of get him to do tasks and get him to commit regular crimes in prison. Eventually he becomes really talented at this and he starts his own sort of dodgy dealings and dodgy business. He does eventually break loose from prison, but I will not spoil the rest of the plot for you. The kind of vocabulary you will learn from this movie can be a lot of curse words, French slang words, words regarding violence, prison life. Movie number 4 is a Canadian movie. It's called Woolwich, or Rebelle in French. It's set in sub-Saharan Africa and it's about a 12-year-old girl who's abducted by rebel forces and she's forced into becoming a child soldier. Now, she's taught how to use weapons and eventually she even murders her parents. Vocabulary. Now this is actually a movie of not many words, I thought. A lot of sort of silence and it's a lot about sort of watching what's happening rather than what's being said. But you can pick up some words regarding weapons, war, loss, death. Movie number 5 is called Monsieur, Lazhar. It came out in 2011. It's a Canadian movie and it's about an Algerian refugee in Canada who goes to work in an elementary school as a replacement for a teacher that has just committed suicide. Now the film sort of revolves around the relationship he starts to build with his students. They end up really liking him, but the kids are really haunted by the suicide of their previous teacher. A story about healing and pain, essentially. It's a really, really beautiful movie. I do recommend you watch this one. You can learn vocabulary about school, friendship, childhood, life, death, and cultural references about Algeria too. Movie number 6 is called Incendies. It's a Canadian movie. It came out in 2010. It's about Canadian twins who travel to their mother's country in the Middle East after she passes away. They find out she has a secret past. She had a secret past during the Civil War and end up finding out that they have another brother and that their father is actually alive. The sort of vocab you'll pick up from this movie is around the themes of death, war and loss, essentially. Movie number 7 is called The Missing Image, aka L'Image Manquante. It's actually a Cambodian French movie. It was released in 2013 and it's a very unique, interesting movie. It's kind of like a documentary style movie and the producer has used animation, clay figures, archive footage to recreate the atrocities of the Cambodian genocide. Really, really do recommend you watch this one as well. There's nothing quite like it. The vocabulary you can learn from this movie is around devastation, war, loss, food, scarcity, so pretty dark themes. Movie number 8 is called Hors la loi, so Outside the Law. This film came out in 2010. It's an Algerian movie and it represents the Algerian struggle for independence from France after the Second World War. So it's a real film about bravery and courage. Three brothers come together to fight for freedom. Really inspiring. The kind of vocabulary you'll learn from this movie will be regarding war. Movie number 9 is called The Class. In French it is called Entre les Murs. It was released in 2005. It is a French movie. It's set in a very difficult sort of lower income district in Paris where many immigrants are born, and it's about a young French literature teacher who goes to work in one of the schools in that district for an hour a day. Now he comes across issues of teenage violence, ethnic tensions, behavioural problems, just really tough situations which really test him. But he does in a way change their lives. So it's kind of a beautiful movie in a way. You can learn quite a lot of vocabulary from this movie with the wide variety of themes. You can pick up slang, teenage terms. There's a load of teenagers in that movie, so you'll get a sense of how the youth talk in France. Education, school life, feelings, expressing your feelings, cultural and literary references. Movie number 10, we might have saved the best till last. I'm joking, but it is my favourite personally. Amélie. You probably watched this one. If you haven't, you need to. Came out in 2011. It's a French movie, of course. It's about a very unique, shy, lonely girl who lives in her own little world. She has a very vivid imagination, and she tries to positively impact the lives of the people around her by doing small acts of kindness. In the process of doing this, she actually finds love herself. But will she take that leap of faith? You have to watch it to find out. Vocabulary you can learn from this movie, honestly, a bit of everything. Life, love, family, hurt, pain, happiness. It's a really beautiful movie. So there we have our 10 movies. Now, obviously, you might not get the chance to watch all of them, but I think the great thing about this list is that they're so diverse. They have they're just so different. They talk about different themes. They have different accents, so you'll get to know different French accents, which is a really important thing to do. And watching movies is a fun way to learn French, essentially. So if you do enjoy that, you also have the option to look at our Lingopie selection of movies. We have a large variety of choice on there. And of course you can follow along with the subtitles in both English and French. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments box below. And yeah, see you next time.